Hi, I'm Lucrisha Polton, Director of AfriCrafters. My journey began at a very, very young age when I traveled extensively with my father. We got to see much of the rural countryside, and having grown up in an apartheid South Africa, I witnessed firsthand how the system, for want of a better word, punished people of color. So again, that instilled something in me in terms of giving back. The more we gave, the more we could share our knowledge. It didn't necessarily mean giving in monetary terms. It meant sitting down and educating someone. It meant showing them a different way of doing something. And that journey has brought me to a point where I am constantly looking at crafters, not from the point of view of where they are right now, but rather of where I can take my combined knowledge and drive them to be becoming better at what they do, to guide them to be able to access different skills that they didn't necessarily have access to based on where they are right now in their business. I have to say that my inspiration was drawn very early in my life from very many people along the way. It came from something as simple as this morning when I was traveling to school with my daughter, and I saw a sweeper on the side of the road. And he was standing so majestically on the side of the road, and I said to my daughter, now here's an example of dress for the job you want and not the job you have. And she says, well, what do you think he would like to be? And I said, perhaps the CEO of the eThekwini municipality. Who knows? You know, it's things like this that I draw my inspiration from on a daily basis. But that said, I look back on my journey, my grandmother, who brought up 7 children with no education, a single mom, because she was a widow at a very, very early age. So she dabbled in many different businesses, as I would call it. So from selling vegetables off her garden to something as simple as selling newspaper, you know. And 7 children, educated, married, and all living amazing lives right now. I have to say that women do have a far more challenging approach or challenging space to be in when it comes to different types of businesses. In some businesses, yes, they have to work a little bit harder than men. In other businesses, they are on par. I think it would depend completely on what the business is. So for example, if you're a doctor, you are working on exactly the same sort of procedure every single time. So there's no difference in the way a man would approach it or a woman would approach it. However, in the business that I am in, I find that I have to, on a daily basis, look at who I am dealing with. In my industry, I found that with men, I have to be a lot more respectful. I have to allow them to believe that it is their idea in the first place. I have to be very humble when I approach men of different cultural backgrounds. There, I have no problem because I'm confident in who I am. I have a knowledge of different cultures stemming back to when I was 7 years old and traveling with my dad. So I take that into consideration. Often I would use a woman as a mediator first. And once I've gained the confidence and the traction in terms of trust, then I come forward and start working collectively with the men in terms of design and crafting. Because bear in mind that a lot of the men have the crafting knowledge, they have the crafting skill set, but the design factor comes from me. We have to work together to achieve what I require as the end product. But to do that, I have to bear in mind that we are coming from cultural backgrounds, cultural differences, and I constantly have to take into consideration that knowledge is power. So the more knowledgeable we become about each other's cultures, and the better understanding we have of our cultures, the greater harmony we have between us, and we can create amazing stuff. Where I am right now has exceeded my expectations. Much of it came from the fact that I imbibed a lot of love into my work, a lot of passion into my work, but above all, there was kindness. There was always kindness wherever I went. And I found that when I focused on these things, everything else just escalated beyond any understanding of mine. So where I am right now, as I said earlier, is where I did not expect to be under any, beyond my wildest imagination. However, now that I am where I am, I am confident enough to say that I have a lot that I wish to achieve. There's so much more that I want to do. I'm currently embarking on a skills development program for crafters. I am in the process of working with a few international clients where we want to take our crafters overseas. We want to expose them to an international level. I believe that we need to focus on our crafters and our artists to a great degree because Africa, and more especially South Africa, has some of the most skilled, incredibly amazing crafters. There are no words to describe what I have seen in my travels. And so, yes, we have so much more to do. It's only just the beginning. I don't call it a work-life balance. It's more like harmony. So, being a single mom of two incredibly wonderful children, teenagers, one is homeschooled, the other goes to a school locally, and both are very actively involved in so many different sports and cultural activities, and many are involved in my sponsored events and my charitable organizations. But the kids are incredible. So yes, where my children are concerned, I have an incredible network. Where I am concerned, I have a motto that says you've got to nourish to flourish. I have an amazing support system, from my family to my friends to business colleagues, staff, amazing. If one of us ever has to drop the ball, I have to say that somebody is there, is waiting in the wings to take over and just go with it. So I take time out for myself. When I feel that everything's getting away from me, I stop. Because taking 10 minutes out of your day just to recoup and to go back inside and just to center yourself is essential for you to perform at your maximum, to perform at your peak. Be in the moment. I think that's the most important thing. If I look back at my younger self, I have to say, take time to develop your mind. Your mind is your most important asset. Your mind is what is going to get you to where you are in the future. Developing your mind means not only the knowledge that you get from a school system, but it means the knowledge you get from life. Take time to interact with people, take time to understand people, take time to understand what makes you tick on a daily basis. And when you have the knowledge to be able to conquer, and I think conquer is a bit of a heavy word to use on a younger self, but if you can conquer negative thoughts, if you can harness positive things on a daily basis, you are well on your way to achieving a very successful career path and a successful life.